Hey all you nerds, Gabe aka Froopy Art here, and welcome back to our Gravity Falls and cryptid-inspired region. In the previous episode, you ran into your sister out in the snowy wilderness and followed some rather large Pokémon tracks to a cabin.
Whoa, look at that cabin. You think the Pokémon just broke in? I don't see any tracks leading out, so it's probably still in there, right? Should we check it out?
As quietly as you are able, you and your sister crunch through the snow and approach the cabin. To your surprise, you see that the footprints go straight to the front door and disappear. Trying the handle, it is unlocked, and you cautiously step inside.
Whoa, look at all this nerd stuff everywhere. I don't see any giant Pokémon anywhere, but look at these though.
Maple points at a gigantic pair of boots left at the front door. Looking at the bottoms, the strange tread seem to match the weird footprints that you've been following.
Oh, those are just my dad's boots.
You hear a voice come from up in the rafters. Looking up, you see a teenager in plaid.
Borrowed them from my dad since I knew I'd be out in all this snow. Give me a sec. Let me just get this thing that got lodged in this beam.
With some effort, she wrenches something free and then flips down to the ground.
Yo, sup? I'm Cordelia, one of the Pokémon professor's research assistants. You two must be the Pines twins staying with us at the research shack.
You gotta teach me how to do flips out of the ceiling.
In due time, young Nimble.
I'm Maple, and my twin, who is staring at you like a sweaty weirdo, is Mason. So, what were you getting from up there?
The professor has me retrieving components from an experiment that he went and exploded the other day. So this bad boy flew all the way over here, smashed through the window, and got stuck up in the rafters. Luckily, my dad had me scaling trees since I was like in diapers, so it was no sweat to get.
Cordelia reveals the device component, and you can see that this one has a strange ice symbol on it.
So cool. Get it? 'Cause of the ice?
Maple, that was hilarious.
We can take it back to Grunkle Will for you.
Well, no can do, Maple. You two seem pretty cool, but the professor said I get a vacation day for each one of these that I can track down.
Well, my nerdy sibling here beat Moose to get the one he had. I'm sure they could do it again.
I do love the idea of getting a good battle in, but Moose is a bit of a pushover. If you really think you can beat me, let's freaking go!
Without getting much of a say in the matter, you are thrust into a battle against the ice-type specialist, Cordelia. She leads with something really pretty. Now, this whole region is going to have its fair share of scary cryptids and monsters, so it's important for us to get some pretty designs in there too. So, we're going to be rolling together some of the various winter woman spirit stories out there, but our primary inspiration will be Frau Holly from Germany. This definitely falls more into the children's story side of things, but there's still some more serious versions of Frau Holly, like looking after the spirits of those who were lost to cold weather. But in general, think of her like Mother Winter. We're going just a bit abstract with the design, but there is a section from one of her stories where she fluffs a pillow and the feathers fly out and become snow. So a general pillowcase fabric appearance works well. We've got a pretty unique silhouette, and with the ice crystals even somewhat resembling feathers, I like how this turned out. It's fun. Let's go ahead and meet Frillo, the winter Pokemon. It is hypothesized that the northern region of the Hoenn region is as cold as it is due to the large number of Frillo that call it home. They strive to show others the majesty of winter and create beautiful fractal ice sculptures to decorate their surroundings. If Frillo likes something, they will sprinkle fresh snow on it, so trainers are advised to dress accordingly. Its ability is Snow Warning, so it brings in snow whenever it enters battle, and the hidden ability is Snow Cloak. Now, even though this is a single-stage Pokemon, it knows its place on the team. As a surprisingly bulky and speedy Ice-type, Cordelia uses it to set up weather and protective barriers on her side before you're ever able to knock it out. Next up, Cordelia has a tiny little Nomble waddle out. Its defenses are boosted greatly by Frillo's preparations, and you are able to knock out this little snowball nonetheless. Cordy's last Pokemon is going to be much more of a challenge though. Okay, we're straying from cryptids and getting into a bit more of urban legends with this one. I say urban legends, but this one has like a lot of serious truth to it. So we'll be playing with the idea of mole people. Now, of course, there are some monstrous depictions of mole people as actual, like, hybrid creatures, and we'll use a dash of that, right, since this is a mole, an actual mole that we're making. But we're really focused on mole people as communities that seek shelter underground, either due to homelessness or a desire for an unconventional life. These are typically reported in abandoned tunnel systems under major cities. So, with this design, I did want to play up the resourcefulness and determined nature with these layers to keep it warm in the frozen depths. Okay, let's go ahead and meet Molunder, the hunker Pokemon. This subterranean creature spends most of its time digging out expansive tunnel systems. They rarely come to the surface and have actually lost their sense of sight completely, instead picking up vibrations using their icy whiskers. Molunder are covered by layers of thick fur and snow, which both protect them from attacks and keep them warm. Its ability is Sheer Force, so that gets rid of any secondary effects on its moves, but boosts their damage. So those claws will be a problem. And its hidden ability is Icy Body. This glacially slow mole hits like an absolute truck, and you have to wait for Frillo's barriers to fade before you're able to do any substantial damage to it. Its huge claws wreck a good chunk of your team, but after a tense battle, you emerge victorious.
Aw, man. I knew I shouldn't have gone easy on you. Next time I'll actually use a full team and then your butt is toast. But like it or not, I guess you earned this. Here.
Cordelia tosses over the device component. The professor is going to be really impressed that you've managed to track down 2, though according to the drawing he did, there are 8 more pieces to be found.
Hey Cordelia, what is this cabin? And why is it filled with all this nerd stuff?
I was wondering the same thing. I've never actually been inside. I just figured it was someone's old abandoned cabin. And it definitely does seem abandoned. It's all dusty and junk. But this research and notes, they seem like stuff the professor would be working on. I wonder why he never mentioned having a cabin up here.
Unless it isn't his cabin?
I mean, maybe. But this tech feels like it is the professor's stuff. Oh yeah, look at this! I was given one of these from the professor back at the research shack when I started.
Cordelia picks up a couple futuristic-looking rectangles and tosses one to both you and Maple.
You two should take these. They're called Rotom Shifts. They use some tech that I'm not even gonna pretend I understand to transform into certain useful items. Here, watch.
Cordelia pulls out a Rotom Shift of her own, and after pressing a couple buttons on it, it transforms into a full bicycle. She returns it to its dormant state and then taps it against each of your Rotom Shifts. Yours buzzes with excitement and says, "Rotom Shift, analyzing data, beep blorp boop. New function added, bicycle."
There, I transferred the code for the bike. You should be able to use that whenever you need to. I kind of want to keep digging through this old cabin, but if Professor Pines hears that I was the one who found that component, I might still get a vacation day. Let's all bike back to the research shack. I'll race ya.
You're on, Cordy. Let's go.
You all leave the cabin and book it through the snowy terrain until you are on flat enough ground to use your new bikes. You try to beat them, but a couple new Pokemon get in your way and you can't risk missing new additions to your decks. Okay, this is going to be the start of a very fun 3-stage rock line. Thematically, we're looking at sculpture and gargoyles. But when you're carving a piece of art, you have to start off somewhere, so we get just a block of stone. Yes, a block of stone with some little stumpy legs. The silly part, of course, is the face, which I'll explain when we get to the Dex entry. But before we get to that, I have 2 fun facts. One, I wanted a cube design somewhere in the Dex because I have a completely unnecessary goal of having some of the Pokemon be the same shape as various dice used to play tabletop RPGs. So this is our 6-sided dice, or D6, but I have plans for at least a couple more dice-shaped designs. That'll be fun. It's not necessary. It's kind of dumb, but we're doing it. We're doing it anyway. And the other neat thing about this design that you'll see here in a second is that it has a really bulky HP stat, especially for a first stage. But as it evolves and more of its body is chipped away, while its other stats may go up, its HP stat will actually drop ever so slightly as it keeps evolving. Okay, let's go ahead and meet Cubesque, the block Pokemon. When they first hatch, these rock types are near perfect cubes of solid stone with 4 stubby legs. From there, they smash their bodies into their environments in hopes of cutting grooves. No 2 Cubesque are the same, as they choose their own features. Though not particularly pretty, they are quite proud of their appearances. Its ability kind of has to be Rock Head, and that protects it from recoil damage. It's so used to smashing into things. And the hidden ability is Sturdy. You see a bunch of these tumbling about a rocky outcropping, just having a grand old time smashing their faces into one another. But as you examine their silly behavior, you notice something dart behind a tree nearby, and you go to investigate. Okay, so this is one of my favorite cryptids ever, just because it is so dumb. The Fresno Nightcrawler is something that was just apparently caught on video one night just strolling along in California. A pair of them, actually, a big one and a little one, so that means this does need to be a 2-stage line. But yeah, they're really just legs, like ghosty fabric legs going for a walk. Now, they seem to be some type of fabric puppet, but they're so cute and fun nonetheless. And since we are starting out small, instead of being pants walking around, we get shorts or short pants or underpants or whatever you want to call it. Okay, it is ridiculous, but I do love it. Let's go ahead and meet Resnick, the short pants Pokemon. This rare ghost type is still a mystery to those in the Hoenn region. Some believe Resnick to be a pair of haunted underpants, while others are certain that it is actually an invisible Pokemon manipulating the shorts like a puppet to communicate. They are quite shy, but they have been seen approaching trainers they admire. Its ability is Prankster, so it gets increased priority on status moves, and the hidden ability is Mummy. Resnick is very shy, but senses that you mean no harm and bounces over to you. You'll have to let me know if you would want to add it or any of the other new Pokemon to your team. After that, you finally make it back to the research shack. But we'll pick up from there in the next episode. Be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you are enjoying this series. There is a new puzzle added to the Discord server, so check the video description for details on how to join the journal deciphering fun. And I will catch you in the next one. Later, nerds.